We left school in July. We just settled in. And then the carnival in 76, 77. 76 was bad. 77 was mayhem. And we were living here in 77.
Tell us about that, please, if you don't mind.
Was
just because
crazy.
I think often, which is kind of the part of the podcast, there's a lot of things we've heard about, so the carnival riots, but as millennials, we've never spoken to anyone there. So
it's really, I don't mind at all. It's really interesting actually, because when I go to carnival now, so we've got a girlfriend who has a flat on Chepstow Road. Yeah. So we kind of go to her house and we sit out and watch these. Hayley, my wife, and I kind of like. So normally there's a group of us. There's me, there's Garth Crooks, there's Hayley, there's a few of us who are all our kind of age. Yeah. And we kind of look at the carnival and go, what is this thing, right? Because there's no black people. What's this about? Yeah. And when we used to go to carnival, it was just police and thieves. That was it. There was nothing else. I mean, that you would have heard that song, right? That Junior Marvin song. Yeah. That song was a real signature tune. So in those days, 76, 77, I remember Simeon, one of the boys, he was on the front cover of the Evening Standard. Oh my God, it was a nightmare. We've been staying here, and so where the Westway is, they used to have the do you know the Westway? And so under the Westway they have all those stout stalls and stuff. In those when we were kids, they used to be the soul cages. So they used to everywhere else in the whole of Grove was reggae, but the soul cage was over under the Westway. So we used to all go there because we were all the kind of soul kids. So we would all go over there, and and the music was serious back in the day. It was amazing. So we would all head over there. But to get from Westbourne Park to Ladbroke Grove was okay normally, but when it kicked off, it was a nightmare. And so we were I remember being in the soul cage one afternoon, and suddenly these bottles just started raining all over the place. Yeah. And you were going, what's that? And it was just bedlam. And what happened, or what seems to happen, is that the Kensal Rise kids who were a nightmare, they would steam the carnival. So they would come at the start of the top and they would just storm down and just do all the stick stuff and bags, and it was a nightmare. Anyway, by the time the evening fell, because those days Carnival would start on a Friday night and would go through to the Monday, so it'd be all night Friday, all night Saturday.
Back in the Caribbean,
it was serious. Yeah. And so as soon as nightfall, so you can imagine, can't you? The night's fall, it's 11, 12 o'clock at night. The sound systems were all going. Yeah. The police are getting battered. It was
madness.
It was madness. But that's how we lived. It was exciting. We thought it was amazing. Yeah, so I remember tracing my way from Westbourne Park. I had to sneak my way round, and you were like literally diving under the bottles, trying to hide behind cars. Police were just bagging everybody they could. It was mental. And then we got back to Grove, and all you heard all night was all the sirens going and the rest of it. And the next day I got up for work, and it was because that was the Monday. The next day I got up for work, and the place was just trashed. And what's so strange to me now is when I look at Ladbroke Grove, and I see all these sort of pretty
gentrified. It's a different place.
This is Grove. Like there was Frontline up there where people used to go and do the drugs and all the rest of it. And it's just bizarre to me to think of this place being a wealthy place. Yeah. But it was weird for me because of course my life had started in a riot. Yeah. And now I was back here sort of 17 years later living in a riot thinking. Yeah. But it kind of felt sort of normal in a way. It was a bit weird. Yeah, it's what we knew. And then the boys went and joined something called Unity Housing, and Unity was a really good housing association. They had it was a really cool place, but that was for me where I went back to Enfield because I couldn't really get on with the whole reggae thing, and it was such a reggae vibe up here. My brother Simeon had a girlfriend called Elvira, and I always remember her coming to the flat one day, and she walked in the house, and she'd cooked chicken, right? And Simeon said, "This is why I love this woman." And I went, "Why?" She goes, "Nobody but this girl can crutch frozen chicken." And you went. By this time, I caught up what it was about. Yeah. So this is what these girls would do. They would go out and they would go into supermarkets and they would be able to steal a frozen chicken, put it up their skirt, and walk out of the supermarket. But these people were serious. No, these people were crazy, man. And they would go to Bali and they would just take shoes and they would call it crutching. They would crutch the shoes and they would just walk straight. Yeah, and they just walk straight out the door. And he loved this girl. Chicken. No, not just a chicken, by the way.
Frozen one as well.
Frozen chicken we're talking about. We're talking about a hardcore woman. And she's serious, man. She was serious. But that's what it was like. It was just an insane time of year. And all the music was really interesting. So it was like this really interesting soundtrack. There were these, because all the boys, when they came out of the orphanage, they were locked up and all become Rasta. So there was, again, we were kind of divided because I was the only one who was really hard on the soul, and the rest of them were all on the reggae scene. So they were, and there were songs out at that time like I'm in love with the dreadlocks, and there were, Marley had just come. He'd been there in '75, and we'd all just like, oh my goodness, to see. We were at his first ever appearance in London, and that was like,
shout out to Uncle Bob.
That legend. That was next level. And the thing about Bob Marley back in the day was, if you were a woman in Ladbroke Grove, you probably were mother one of his children. I mean,
that's what it sounded like.
He was just, Bob Marley was just wrong. Right? He was the best artist ever, but he was wrong.
But he had a lot.
He was serious, man. And he came up and played at Acklam Hall there, and that was amazing. So I was in Grove from '77 till about '78. And then '78, I thought, do you know what? This ain't gonna work, right? This is gonna just get nuts.